the nature of live events is both unknown and the traffic is very spiky and unpredictable. And so when you bump that up against the way that programmatic has traditionally been run, it creates a lot of opportunity to solve problems.
So when we talk about live, sometimes we're talking about sports, sometimes we're talking about the Oscars, and sometimes we're talking about shows like White Lotus, which drops on Sundays and that we wait for. What are some of the differences between live events in terms of how do you treat them differently?
In the terms of like the pre-recorded content, you have a couple advantages there. Namely, you know exactly when the ad breaks are going to come, and you know exactly how long those ad breaks are going to be. Also, you probably have a better idea of generally how many people are going to be watching those pre-recorded live shows versus in a live event where traffic can be very spiky. So if it's a bad game, people can turn this off and on, or a very good game, right? You can see very large spikes, like the parabola is very steep in live events like that, which just makes it really fundamentally different for those tent poles.
And how does an industry manage this? What are some of the standards or guidelines the IAB is working on?
So Tech Lab has a couple of existing standards. So namely, we have things like the Ad Creative ID framework, which is basically ad ID, like a creative registry that helps buyers understand exactly where their ads played. That's really helpful in post for things like frequency management and things like that. For live events specifically though, I'm working with a group of industry experts that are not part of Tech Lab's sort of traditional constituency that I'm over the moon to have here to be able to speak to and learn from, because these are people who can really help us understand, the first deliverable from that group is going to be what we call a near real-time viewership API to just get a better idea of how many eyeballs are actually in that stream before you start to kick off the auction process, which has traditionally not been part of our remit, but it is now because standards around how to actually ask that question and then better describe that inventory are going to be the foundation and the building block for being able to do this successfully.
So live events are clearly not going away, they're growing. Where are we headed?
You're seeing digital first players really start to drink the Kool-Aid of the incumbents that this has been part and parcel of their business for forever. And so as the programmatic infrastructure starts to get built up and buyers especially have more confidence that their ads will be delivered to the right place at the right time, you're going to see a lot more media investment move over into these programmatic pipes. There's a lot more that can be done when you're talking about digital pipes than when you're talking about traditional linear pipes. Also, that's just frankly where the eyeballs are now moving. So that's where buyers are going to have to be. And so standing up the infrastructure and the standards to create the interoperability that's going to be necessary for this is I think where a huge focus for Tech Lab and for me personally in 2025.